Repetition, repetition, the phrase everyone says when you ask them how to improve at something. But in video games, they usually don't breed improvement, mostly instead making frustration. We've all been there, whether you're boxing, flying into space, having some blueberry pie with the village lady, or just trying to beat the second level of Super Mario Bros. 2. It all ends with the same conclusion: you get killed by a Japanese stereotype. Wait, what? Sorry. That's just Punch-Out! You die, or you fail, or you rage quit, or simply just have to stop playing, but either way you lose progress. With every failure or game close, you lose more and more progress, ending right back where you started, and sometimes bringing you closer to restarting even farther back than you already were. This denotes what I like to call a checkpoint-based save system, a system where there are checkpoints which save your progress. They each have pluses and minuses to the implementations, so let's talk about how to fix the game in checkpoint and remove several of the hindrances attached to it. Part 1. Losing progress and frustration. In Persona 5, the checkpoint is categorized as a safe room, basically just a room without enemies that you can save in. Almost an exact copy from games such as the Resident Evil series, complete with the extremely spread out nature of them. This made slightly more sense in Resident Evil because it was an action horror game, so it fits the theme of tension, but Persona is not that. It's an RPG with long and tedious turn-based combat, where you have a deadline to fix this person, basically just beat a boss, which is not conducive to having to repeat a lot of the dungeon through no fault of your own just because of how far apart the safe rooms are. A lot of the time I found myself with about half an hour to play, and was in, specifically, Sai or Kaneshira's palace, and inevitably I got stuck because of the design of the palaces. The next safe room far out of sight, but too far from the last safe room to reliably go back and save there. So once I have to stop playing, I just lose any and all progress I had made. I'm not even exaggerating here, this happened to me several times over the course of my playthrough, and by the time I finally got to Shido in his palace, I'd been playing for several hours, it was at least 9:30, I was extremely tired, and this was the night before my surgery, so I had to get to bed earlier. But why not go to just use sleep mode on console? I hear you asking. I did. But the thing is, I wasn't able to do that all the time, because there are several other people that use the same console, and it is also the most reliable way we can watch television, so the majority of the time it was just not feasible. And this is only one example. I've stayed up way too late playing Resident Evil, Hollow Knight, or Dark Souls just because I couldn't find a save point. There are other particularly egregious examples too, like Nier Automata, or even just focusing on certain areas of games. There's the Path of Pain in Hollow Knight, the Old House in Resident Evil 7, the Laboratories in Resident Evil 4, the Dark Side in Mario Odyssey, every Mario Party game until Superstars, and that's not even getting into Majora's Mask's Japanese release, Majora's Mask's everywhere else release, the Ruin Ship in Super Metroid, but I'll leave it at that. Part 2. The innate moral questions with forcing people to play for extremely long periods of time. These checkpoint-based save systems aren't only irritating and frustrating, they can also be a barrier of entry or even stop people from playing the game simply because of their circumstances and their health. My father has a cyst on his right hand that hurts all the time, making it hard for him to hold a controller for long periods of time. I just had surgery on my left hand for the same thing a little bit ago, so it's been hurting me for several years and will continue hurting at least moderately for a while, and other family members have arthritis or whatever in their hands, and thus can't play for a while either, and some younger folks in the family sometimes just don't immediately get that they have to save themselves, but only at specific parts, because oh no, why wouldn't you be able to? Now picture all of these people playing the original Resident Evil game, limited saves and all. They'd have to play well past their comfort zone, and by the time they'd finally get to the first save point, they might be confused, in the case of the one that's just unfamiliar with the games, or in severe pain and unable to do much else for the rest of the day, minimum. And this isn't even factoring in the fact that these people all have jobs, or school, or bedtimes, which they might miss, or lose all of the progress and have to destroy their hands, or be confused all over again to get back where they were. Sure, if you're a rich person with like 18 butlers and 12 maids, you won't need a job, and this might work for you if you don't have any hand or eye pain, but the fact is that the majority of people aren't like that, only 1 or 2 butlers max. What about the weekends, you're asking? The people who have to go to work or school or sleep or anything else still don't have time, especially bringing in the fact that these people all have social lives as well, with families and friends and cats. And for many, the weekend is also for housework. My father also works 6.5 days a week minimum, so even though he enjoys video games a lot of the time, he doesn't have time for them still, and when he does, he's yelling at Neo. So bring in all of that. The majority of people don't have time to be playing these games with checkpoints that also act as save points, especially when that's the only way to save, and even if they do have time, there's a large chance that they'll have something preventing them from doing so, be it hand pain or eye strain. So, who are these games made for, then? Is it just the core fans that have a bunch of time, other fans that have no responsibilities, or who it should unarguably be made for, the vast majority of people? Part 3. Flavors of checkpoints and other weird saving systems. Aside from checkpoints, there are several other varieties of save systems. There are a few that leap to mind. One of which is Nier Automata, where you upload yourself to the cloud or something and have to beat the entire first level without dying to be able to not repeat the first level and continue on, which is the worst system ever. To this day, the notification saying that it doesn't support autosave and doesn't tell you how to save is the most ominous thing ever. Games also used to have codes that you'd input to get back to where you were. These were mostly used in handheld games because of the less powerful nature, like in the Shrek movie on the Game Boy, or at least one SpongeBob game on the Game Boy. Aside from those two, there aren't too many revolutionary or interesting save mechanics, aside from the advent of autosaving being introduced in Sonic 3 on the Mega Drive and saving being introduced in the first Zelda game. If I missed anything, though, feel free to tell me. Part 4. How does one fix this? So now we've looked at the worst examples of checkpoint-based systems in games, so now, how do we remove the tedium that comes with them? It's fairly simple, actually. You could just add more checkpoints in to make it easier to pick up and play for 20 minutes, and then put back down. Maybe add a checkpoint every 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay, or something like that. Maybe you could also add a quick save function of sorts, where you can save at any point, but you still go back to the last checkpoint with any enemies you killed still being dead. Or have it autosave at any point where you get close to a checkpoint area, so even if you forget to save, you can still start back up where you left off. Or at least fairly close to it. Or, though, if you want a completely foolproof plan, you could just use a normal saving system. Actually, let me pitch that to Sony real quick. Hi, it's me, a random person off the internet.
Phone support is currently closed. To speak with us, please call us during normal business hours from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time, Monday through Friday. For immediate assistance, please visit our help and support website at playstation.com/support. Goodbye.
Huh, I guess they didn't want to spring for it.